aside the teachings of Christ and let us do what is wrong. We will now put it aside. Let's fight for our father's land.
And we tell Jesus to jẹ́ ọmọ Yorùbá, the Yoruba indigene. I want to talk to you all. And I want you to listen and accept what I'm about to say. I said they are already usurping you from your villages all over Yoruba State. In Ogun State, Osun State, Ondo State,
Anambra State,
even Anambra State, even the Igbo lands as well. People are already entering those places. And they're already overtaking you people in your various states. What we are saying right now, this is not about religion.
Christian,
whether you're a Christian,
Muslim,
or you're a Muslim, and we are Yoruba traditional worshippers, this is time we must band together to fight for our father's land so that they don't overtake us in it. Don't let them use religion take over our land. All those villages they have taken over in Ondo State, when they wanted to kill to do anything about it, personally I'm ready for war. I told you the last time that you should fortify yourself. So people will say, why will a pastor utter that kind of statement? Please go and fortify yourself. Because when war comes, I will drop my Bible. I will go and fight for my father's land. When the Christianity came into Nigeria,
1842.
It came in 1842. That was when it came in. And the first person to compile the Bible, his name is Williams. They killed him on the 6th, 1536. They burnt in. He was lynched. The person that compiled the Bible for us. So don't let us put religion into our culture or for fight for our father's land. I will fortify myself and I'll be a leader. And if you can fortify people, fortify them. We will fight that war. I will drop my Bible because of my father's land. Because the Bible says it. Hebrews 6 verse 1. It says set aside the teachings of Christ and let us do what is complete. We will now put it aside. Let's fight for our father's land. And we tell Jesus to help us. To help us in the war for our father's land. That's what we are going to do. The Yoruba indigene. I want to talk to you all. And I want you to listen and accept what I'm about to say. I said they are already usurping you from your villages all over Yoruba State. In Ogun State, Osun State, Ondo State,
Anambra State,
even Anambra State, even the Igbo lands as well. People are already entering those places. And they're already overtaking you people in your various states. What we are saying right now, this is not about religion.
Christian,
whether you're a Christian,
Muslim,
or you're a Muslim, and we are Yoruba traditional worshippers, this is time we must band together to fight for our father's land so that they don't overtake us in it. Don't let them use religion take over our land. All those villages they have taken over in Ondo State, when they wanted to kill, they killed Christian and Muslim alike. They are fighting for the land. They are not fighting for religion. They are just coming through the lens of religion. But I'm telling you all Yoruba people, please be prepared. Nigerians at large, please be well prepared so that they don't take you away from your father's land. And calling onto the royalties in Yoruba land. The Oni of Ife, the Imperial Majesty. Kábíyèsí, we greet you, sir. Please talk about this. The new Aláàfin, please talk about this. All the kings in Ondo State. The kings in Lagos, Oyo, Oshu, please talk about this. Because when the war overwhelms us, we will not be able to do anything about it. Personally, I'm ready for war. I told you the last time that you fortify yourself. So people will say, why will a pastor utter that kind of statement? Please go and fortify yourself. Because when war comes, I will drop my Bible. I will go and fight for my father's land. When the Christianity came into Nigeria, 1842. It came in 1842. That was when it came in. And the first person to compile the Bible, his name is Williams. They killed him on the 6th. 1536. They burnt him. He was lynched. The person that compiled the Bible for us. So don't let us put religion into our culture or for fight for our father's land. I will fortify myself and I'll be a leader. And if you can fortify people, fortify them. We will fight that war. I will drop my Bible because of my father's land. Because the Bible says it. Hebrews 6 verse 1. It says, set aside the teachings of Christ and let us do what is complete. We will now put it aside. Let's fight for our father's land. And we tell Jesus to help us. To help us in the war for our father's land. That's what we are going to do.
It's coming up to 1800 hours. The platform is not yet fully set. Please share the program and invite others to do so. Let's review. Let's continue our self-determination, and let's talk about the ongoing happening internationally, because this is your only international platform. This is where you can pick up the truth, especially from the gutter media in Nigeria. I'll be telling you everything you need to know about Simon Ekpa, what we know so far. And we would also be giving you updates coming from somewhere outside Nigeria, where another Yoruba woman was kidnapped and ransom has been paid. I will not give too much details due to the fact that the terrorists have promised to come back to pick the family again. So the family has pleaded with me to talk about it, but I have to be very sensitive because it is still or might still be an ongoing situation with them. All this is what we're going to be discussing on the platform this evening. We'll be telling you more about Yoruba Nation. We'll be telling you everything we need to know regarding self-determination. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, and if this is the very first time that you've come across this channel, this is what makes me different from the gutter media in Nigeria. What is the meaning of extradite? I will tell you. And is it true that Simon Ekpa will return back to Nigeria? This is where you will find out the truth and nothing but the truth. While we are just about to kickstart, let's prepare more of the other platform. And when I come back, we play the anthem and we start gearing you up for the program this evening. My name again is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Good evening and welcome.
Koikimedia, we're bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia, 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 we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia. Koikimedia, Koikimedia, we bringing the world closer to your doorstep. I was a letter by Ida, I was no last at it. Did la rugeni le ojua, I was gani baba. Koikimedia, Koikimedia. Koikimedia, we bring the world closer to your doorstep. They never sabi wetin we carry for her. But they move closer before they go sabi. I said they never know wetin we carry for body. But they move closer before they go sabi. Ọ̀kìn lọ lọ́jà ẹyẹ ìníhùn ló la ojú. Ẹyẹ tó torí kodò bí àdó wọn pẹ̀jẹ̀ lẹ́nu. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ilẹ̀ bàbá wa. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ fún ìlú bàbá wa. Ká jùmọ̀ sowọ́pọ̀ ká lè tó dúdú àga. Òdúdú ọkọ̀ bá lè dé wá. Ọmọ Odùduwà ṣègìrì. Ẹ dìde fún ẹ̀tọ́ adúláwọ̀. Ká lè jọ jùmọ̀ gbé délẹ̀ ìlérí. Káwa lè gba ògo ilẹ̀ wa. Ká ṣiṣẹ́ ká lè jọ gbàdé. Ká lè gbàdé adé adúláwọ̀. Àwa ni mọ̀lẹ́ tí yóò tàn káàkiri. Ìyàwó Odùduwà ni wá. Koikimedia, àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ. Ètò tó gbójú owó ìwà mọ́ni. Kásá. Ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà wà kájé gbúgbà yín jẹ. Ètò tó gbójú owó ìwà mọ́ni. À ń gbé tó lárugẹ, à ń gbàsà lárugẹ. Ètò tó gbójú owó ìwà mọ́ni. News and sports, ẹ máa rí gbọ́. Ètò tó gbójú owó ìwà mọ́ni. Ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi ló ní kí n máa ké tantan. Koikimedia ọ̀rọ̀ lágbájúmọ̀ mi o. Máa bá ṣẹ̀rẹ̀ lọ. Ọmọ Yorùbá nìyẹn, ọmọ Yorùbá tata wa. À ń gbádùn rẹ̀, ọmọ Ìjẹ̀bú alárẹ̀ mi. Ṣẹ́yìn lọ máa fi dìbò tẹ̀ mọ́lẹ̀. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa ń dé mádémádé. Ẹ̀yin lọ́mọ onígbò máa wọ̀. Igbó máa wọ̀ dájòjì ò gbọ́dọ̀ wọ. Àjòjì tó bá wọ bẹ̀ á tẹ̀lé ní bọ́ra. Ẹ̀yin lọ máa náwó òyìnbó tó dé. Ìgbà tó yìnbó dé o, owó náà dẹ́ tún pọ̀ sí o. Koikimedia sáwa ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àdáńtọ́ àtúnpèrè gidi. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àwa là ń gbé tó lárugẹ jẹ́ ká jọ gbọ́ o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àtúnjà fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ wa, fẹ́tọ̀ ilẹ̀ Yorùbá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ọmọ Oòduà ni wá o, tọkàntọkàn. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ikú tó ṣe bí lébi òsì, àdìmú bàbá yọ. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. We bring you one closer to your doorstep. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Afẹ́fẹ́ tó ń fẹ́ o tó kàn kí oko lára ni. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àpèrègèdè Olódùmarè ló fún wa ṣe. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Gbogbo ayé ẹ gbọ́, àwa ní bàbá o. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Ẹ máa bọ̀ wá ẹgbẹ́ polówó ọjà yín wá. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Odùduwà la gbé dání, òtítọ́ la gbé dání. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. A kì í sọ̀dálẹ̀, a kì í sọ̀dí kẹta. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Àdúró tán, àtúnpèrè kéde. Koikimedia àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia we bring you one closer to your doorstep. Àwọn ní bàbá. Koikimedia is around to give us latest. Is around to give us latest. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó bójú gbogbo. Ladies and gentlemen, ẹ mú kalẹ̀ sílẹ̀, ẹ tẹ́tí ẹ gbọ́ ètò tó bójú gbogbo. Koikimedia is around to give us latest.
4 minutes past 6 p.m. local time from where I am transmitting in the studio, and we kickstart like this. The broadcast will focus more in English. Please, my Yoruba people, do not ask me to speak in Yoruba because I am not speaking to you alone tonight. My message tonight is focusing on two different movements, two different people. And like I always say all the time, the Biafra issue cannot be neglected. There is no amount of how you like to portray them. There is no amount of how you might like to castigate that particular set of people within Nigeria today. One thing remains is that the issues of the Biafra will not be resolved just like the issues of the Yoruba people if we cannot finally fine-tune the problems that led to the amalgamation and that needs to lead also to the de-amalgamation. The British knew exactly when they were merging indigenous people that do not have the same culture, that do not have anything in common in the 19th century, that a day like this would eventually come true, where people will stand leadership of Mazi Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria in July, from what I've read. I want you to throw that out of your mind for now, until maybe there might be other development and I will come out and tell you. I am not going to go in line with the gutter media in Nigeria. I go with fact as a journalist. We need evidence and fact to prove that Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria. I can authoritatively tell everyone listening to me that all the medias, apart from the BBC Pidgin, that have been very careful because of the status of that particular media outlet that could be confronted with big legal case. I've been extremely careful not to say otherwise, even though they have already also put out the headline. I'll tell you how theirs were put out compared to others. What many Nigerians do not understand is that information today is very good, and it has helped us to defeat the federal government. And when we say the federal government, we're talking about the Sultan of Sokoto that controlled Nigeria from 1960 in terms of their leadership up to the current one, that came out and said clearly that the social media is a terrorist organization. The question we should ask is there any evidence that all the media that have projected Simon Ekpa to be returned back to Nigeria, presented to Nigerians, or directed to Nigerians to reference what they are saying? I can tell you, Simon Ekpa has now, with the federal government, with the Finnish government, completed the extradition treaty that would allow Simon Ekpa to now be returned back to Nigeria. That there is no evidence to such. I will take you through many different facts that I've been able to review before coming out. And this fact can change tomorrow, but for now, as of today, these facts remain that no evidence is in the public domain that Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria, apart from hearsay from the media in Nigeria, and we know the agenda for such a kind of publication. Let's first review one out of the many stories, as many of the media in Nigeria have put it out. Like I said earlier, the BBC put it out as Simon Ekpa extradition. Simon Ekpa lawyer react to report about extradition of the IPOB promoter to Nigeria. Blueprint newspaper, alleged terrorism, Finnish court okays Simon Ekpa extradition to Nigeria. Vanguard newspaper, Finnish court approves Simon Ekpa extradition to Nigeria. 21st Century Chronicle, IPOB leader Simon Ekpa to be extradited to Nigeria. They even quoted the date, July 15. Let's stick to these four. And let's read a little bit of the story so that by the time I am giving you my own fact, we can compare and contrast whether this information put out to Nigerians was true or has a different meaning to it. Let's go with the BBC News Pigeon. Lawyer to Simon Ekpa will be promoter of the proscribed group Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, will land for Finland prison. Don't give reasons on top report, say then go extradite my client to Nigeria. This now after Tori where they fly for Nigeria local media. I want you to listen to the phrase that the BBC Pidgin is putting out. They are very careful because there could be fire back from those managing the Biafra in the diaspora and at home against the BBC. There could be a big libel case on them. This now after Tori where they fly. So that means that the BBC Pidgin is not stating that they can verify that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria. They are going with the story that is in the public domain. BBC that has BBC in Finland, BBC that has branches across many parts of the world, cannot authoritatively clear the air from their headquarters in the United Kingdom to their branch in Nigeria to give us a fact of a news that is a story, and one of the biggest story that anybody can talk about is Simon Ekpa and the federal government. That tells you that the story that is flying is just a rumor. I was expecting BBC to confirm it with the source and the evidence and the fact. But BBC is also going with the story that is flying around in Nigeria. But the average Nigerian will not see it from that angle, because they have been fed for a very long time with lies. And one of those lies is the unity of Nigeria. So if you are still one of those that believe in the unity of Nigeria, you will believe in this garbage story that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria. The same federal government, I'm going to come to them, that have been able to tell us that Simon Ekpa has destroyed Nigeria with his activities. Even though since November, that Simon Ekpa is no longer in the picture in terms of making broadcasts. The federal government have still not yet been able to defeat the terrorists. And I don't want you to go away, because a Yoruba mother called me with all evidence that have been sent to me, but pleaded with me not to release the pictures of the daughter that was kidnapped somewhere in Nigeria, and a huge ransom was paid. The same federal government is more interested to bring in Simon Ekpa back to Nigeria and then prove that they've been able to win the war against the Fulani terrorists. I want you to hold on to that. Meanwhile, so BBC, again, the BBC Pidgin, says that the Tory that is flying in the Nigeria local media, as if they are not operating from the local media. It shows that the BBC is an international platform, just like Koikimedia. So I will not come out and tell you that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria, since I don't have that evidence to prove it. Because apart from my relationship with Simon Ekpa and the Biafra, it is also for me as a media organization to continue to prove beyond doubtness of many Nigerians that I am still on top, far better than many of your gutter media that you continue to promote and watch in that contraction called Nigeria. Meanwhile, when they grabbed Simon Ekpa for Finland, the Chief of Defense Staff for Nigeria say there will be correct steps to take to extradite and come back to Nigeria to face justice. There's no doubt about that. There can be steps. That steps might be going on, but let me reiterate, as of today, no evidence from Finland that Simon Ekpa was in the court on the 18th of April, as many media gutter in Nigeria has been talking about it. The BBC stopped from saying again, go further, that for November 2024, local Tory people for Finland report now they are going back to how Simon was picked up with evidence in November. But the same BBC cannot give us a follow-up to that same Simon Ekpa evidence at the court in Finland to be extradited back in July 15, as many gutter media has been talking about it. However, Ekpa, will be Nigerian man from the southeast region of the country, also get Finland passport. Simon Ekpa, as of today, I have no evidence that his Finnish passport has been revoked. Whether Finland has the law to revoke such a passport that has been given, I don't have the background story to such. But I do know that in the United Kingdom, even if you are given a British passport, they have the right to revoke it and take it back from you. But today, Simon Ekpa still remains a Finland or a Finnish citizen. Simon Ekpa does not carry a Nigerian passport because he has already declared himself as a non-citizen of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, also by destroying his Nigerian passport. Let's now look at the case of such. For Nigerian government, which have the right to request Simon Ekpa to be returned back to Nigeria, it will go through legal process. But where the story is coming from, that Simon Ekpa will be extradited, is something that I know that many of you wants to know. We know how the federal government and the Fulani terrorist, Sultan of Sokoto, and Britain operate. Continue to put it at the back of the mind of many Nigerians that if you dare try to do what we have established, we will come for you. So if you're a Yoruba man and you are excited, you are happy with such a garbage story to start with, that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria because he's fighting for the dissolution of Nigeria from what Britain created, and you are already one believer under the leadership of Babakitoye, you might as well say to Benin Republic, to start with, to extradite back Babakitoye, because we know that Simon Ekpa has not committed any criminal offense. Evidence is out there. I don't have to lay it down to you, but again, if you believe the garbage story from the federal government of the past Buhari and the current one of Tinubu, that is entirely up to you. I cannot help you. Because these, we know, are the same set of people that will fight you and me as a Yoruba person that wants to leave Nigeria. So you better prepare your mind that even if Simon Ekpa is extradited, and I use the word even, the likelihood of that is still not 100%, but the government have the right to project and tell us that they are doing everything to bring him back home to face many crimes that he has committed. But they will not be able to do exactly what they've done with Nnamdi Kanu from Kenya, which was what we called the kidnap and rendition. So you can see that the same government that could not go through the legal process with Nnamdi Kanu has to now do the same legal system with Simon Ekpa, because Finland is not Kenya and Africa. So even if Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria for whatever reason that the federal government insists, it is not just going to be as easy as many of you are thinking. And let me put it this way. The government will pressurize Finland. I am aware of that already, behind the scene. They are doing everything to see how they can bring him back. The government in Finland will not do anything until what the court say. This is where the story that has been prepared and cooked and presented to Nigerians that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back in July is what I want to debunk. I am not here to tell you that they might not eventually extradite Simon Ekpa back, but as of today, there is no evidence to prove that. So we've been able to use BBC, so I don't have to use any other gutter media because they're as useless as tissue paper So there's no point for me referencing Vanguard, Punch, and most importantly, Daily Post. Daily Post ran the story yesterday. I saw it. And then from there, many other medias and bloggers that do not want Biafra to low or Biafra to become a country are running with this fake story, because none of them has any evidence. But can we go back to a particular newspaper in Finland? A particular newspaper that talked about Simon Ekpa twice, if not more than twice. At least I think it's 3 times, because I have the article. I'm going to read it out. 3 times this newspaper has given us background story with the issue between Simon Ekpa and the federal government. But what I cannot understand is that why this same newspaper is not running with the same news, whether they have to first confirm with the Nigeria before they come out and tell us that Simon Ekpa will be extradited. So it tells you that something is not right from the gutter media in Nigeria. Because if the newspaper in Finland that has talked about Simon Ekpa in the past, when he was arrested up to the previous arrest, this is not the first time that Simon Ekpa was arrested. And yet, the Finnish newspaper, I'm going to give you the name of the paper. The Finnish newspaper has not come out with article to confirm that they were in the court, because they have what it takes. All they have to do is just send one of their, even one of their trainee journalists to go to Finland. Whether they will allow them to go to the court and be inside the court or outside the court, they would have that story. And I was expecting that many newspapers in Nigeria would have used that paper to give their reference. And it would have been difficult for me this evening to come out and tell you that they are talking bullshit. But after the review that I have looked back and forth before coming out, I can confirm that the paper has not made the story known, even though article from Nigerian newspaper, the Gutter Media, are saying that Simon Ekpa was at the court on the 18th. Today is the 23rd, so let's count it together. 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 5 days. How can a newspaper in Finland that has the story that they can do a follow-up with would not have blogged, talked about the same story that is Simon Ekpa, yet thousands of miles in that contraction called Nigeria, they are feeding Nigerians that Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria? That, for me, I'm finding it very difficult to understand. That, for me, shows that there is an agenda behind it. I will give you why I think there's an agenda that can link to the Yoruba upcoming rally. Just to tell every Yoruba people that we will come after every one of you, and we will lock you up, and we will put you in prison. Put that at the back of your mind. We'll come back to that later. Now, before I tell you the newspaper, I'm sure you want to know what the newspaper is. I will not tell you straight away. As of today, there are 2 fractions in the Biafra after their convention that made their declaration in Finland. We have those that are following Ngozi Okonjo-Iweala, who is the deputy prime minister. But I can tell you that some Biafra believe that she's an agent of the federal government. Even some believe she's a Fulani woman. And that means that they are not listening and following whatever she's saying. But I'm not going to tell you about Ngozi Orabueze alone. I'm also going to be telling you about Akparawa. Akparawa is another fraction of the Biafra that is working in line with the Minister for Finance of the Biafra government while Simon Ekpa was still out in the public talking to us about Biafra and everything that we need to know. Many Yoruba people don't know that there's a two fraction in the Biafra. I try not to talk about them and leave it as it is until we can get a closure when Simon Ekpa is out or Nnamdi Kanu, and we will know what is really going on in their movement. But for today, because of the current development of Simon Ekpa extradition, I have gone to look at what these two individuals are saying regarding Simon Ekpa. And I can tell you that the two of them has issued information to the public domain that we should ignore the gutter media from Nigeria. I'm going to start with a Twitter space that happened about 17 hours ago. Yeah, roughly about almost 21 hours ago. No, it's not even up to, yeah, roughly about 19 hours ago. And this is coming from the Minister for Information of the Biafra government that is in line with the Finance Minister. Remember, I told you that they have two different fractions. One follow Ngozi Orabueze, while the second follow the Finance Minister. I am not diving into their issues, but I am going to use what the two of them have said. So we go with the Akparawa, where there was a Twitter space yesterday, and the title of that is Nigeria Zoo Media. PM Simon Ekpa didn't go to court on the 18th of April, which is 5 days ago. So let me see if I can give you the clip of this particular Twitter space. Bear with me, my system, because I bring a lot of information, so it might be running a little bit slow. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move it to 18 minutes of this space that happened yesterday, and this is what we know so far. Let's listen from here. Let's listen from 17 minutes.
The line not even get pepper, get maggi, get okra, get periwinkle, or get sinner inside. They say the transfer is scheduled for July 15th. Why is the transfer today? They have agreed to extradite Simon Ekpa. So why is the transfer not tomorrow? Why is it not this weekend? Why are you people claiming that the transfer is scheduled for July 15th, 2025? Following the ruling of the Paget Ame District Court in Lati on April 18, 2025. So this is where I want you people to go and start flocking Nigerian media. It's April 18. Our Prime Minister, who the BRGI are in communication with, which we visited in the prison detention. Our Prime Minister did not have any court case on the 18th. Our Prime Minister did not have any court. That is why since afternoon that we saw this concept.
All right. I'm not going to go further. You've heard it from the first fraction that they visited Simon Ekpa. Being in the prison, even in Nigeria, people visit the people in the prison. So that means that they have people that visited Simon, and Simon must have been giving them update about his court case, when next I'm going to be appearing in the court, and all manner of what people need to know about his court case. But again, the only people that are telling us that Nigeria, we should prepare for Simon returning back to Nigeria are the garbage and the gutter media in Nigeria. Yes, you might not be able to hear the sound from the space because I'm using the laptop to stream. Those of you, bear with me, those of you that are listening to me on the YouTube Koikimedia, bear with me. I am actually using the YouTube to stream out, and there's tendency that you might not have listened or heard the Twitter space that I just played. But let me know if you can still hear me back on the chat. If you're watching me on Koikimedia YouTube channel, can you quickly let me know if you can still hear me, because I am not seeing my screen, and when I move out of that, I might not see if you can hear me or not. I know I've seen 2 individuals that have stated that no sound. So I don't know whether the sound you're talking about is from the one I was playing or the one that is coming out from my own mic. So let me know. So you can hear me, that's fine. That's all I need to know. So since you can hear me, at least I have relayed back what was said in the particular space. But you will not hear it, but the others have heard about it. Now, let's go to the second fraction of the Biafra government in exile. They have 2 governments in exile now. Like I said, I'm not going to dive into their issues, but I just want to go with what they are saying regarding their Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa. Ngozi Orabueze, as at yesterday, no, sorry, not yesterday, it is actually today. Yeah. She actually posted on her Twitter handle, which is called X. Not everybody call it Twitter anymore, but majority of us still know it as Twitter. She posted 5 hours ago, April 23rd, 2025, breaking from Finland. That means for whatever thing they're saying, they have their staff, they have their representative in Finland, and that means they are giving us information from Finland. Sorry, I'm not going to go with the comments, and I'm not going to be reading anything out. I am just going with what I'm saying. I'm going to move away from these 2, and I just want us to focus. I know, like I said, there are issues between the Biafra, and I'm saying that because many Yoruba people don't know this. So I am not going to sit here and start saying I know much what is going on in the Biafra as I knew it when Simon Ekpa was still around. I was in communication with Simon Ekpa on a daily basis or thereabout until he was arrested in November. But what Ngozi Orabueze said, Madam, Finland will not give out any information pertaining to Simon Ekpa to any Nigeria news media. The information being peddled that Simon Ekpa is to be extradited to Nigeria is false and should be disregarded. Nothing like that. Dr. Ngozi Orabueze, COS, DPM, United States of Biafra. That is what I can read from her. The reason why I went to just view what they want to say so that I can know whether she is aware that Simon Ekpa will be returning back to Nigeria or Akparawa will be aware. But both of them are telling me that that story is false, and I'll leave it like that. Now, let's come back to the other development that you want to know. What has the federal government said since 5 days ago before the news came to the limelight of many of you that have heard about Simon Ekpa being returned back to Nigeria, which is a garbage story? There's no fact, evidence to it at all. Now, what I know is that as of today, again, Bayo Ononuga, that speaks on behalf of the government, has not tweeted, has not released any press statement that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria. That does not mean that they might not have that information in their hand. It might just literally mean that they want to perfect it to be sure that if they are coming out to say Simon Ekpa will be returned back in July 15, that information is authentic, is guaranteed. But 5 days have already passed from the court date. And if, according to the garbage gutter media in Nigeria, the brown envelope, are saying that a court in Finland has confirmed that Simon Ekpa and federal government request has been granted, I believe, and I'm sure many Nigerians should also believe, that the first person that should be telling us about this particular Simon Ekpa is the federal government. I should not even have to go and look at it from any gutter media. It has to be the federal government. But as at now, the federal government of the country has not tell any one of us, as they did in January 24. I'll tell you what they told us about Simon Ekpa that was released as a press statement, and Bayo Onoruga ran with that story, is that Simon Ekpa would not be given any, would not be tolerated to divide Nigeria. For the Yorubas that are against Simon Ekpa and the Biafra, I hope you know what we are also into. I don't think many of you know what we are into. I pray that many of you know that the same thing that we are into is also the same thing that the Biafra are into, that is leading to what we are talking about in terms of, you know, Simon Ekpa going to be extradited or not, because you also want Nigeria to dissolve. So if you are still one of those that want Nigeria to dissolve, and you are laughing, you are excited, you are happy that Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria, you might as well also say that I should be returned back to Nigeria so that we can stop Yoruba nation. And Igboho also should be returned back to Nigeria. And I mean by pick up by the government, and that will stop Yoruba nation, and that will be the end of it. Because Britain is now very scared that it is not just the Biafra that wants a dissolution of Nigeria, but the Biafra issue has gone surpassed the Yoruba one. In terms of the Biafra civil war that was witnessed, that Britain funded, supported it, and over 5 million innocent people were killed. But let's go back to what we know from the government of Tinubu in January 24, and this is the press release. President Tinubu commends Finland for intervening in Simon Ekpa's case, says federal government will not tolerate divisiveness. That is somebody that wants to divide Nigeria, just for the layman that probably might not know. I'm gonna quickly, because I have too many things open and it's putting my laptop under enormous pressure. So far I have given you the background, but I've not told you the newspaper in Finland. I'm sure most of you wants to know the name of the newspaper. Bear with me. Let me quickly clear the air on what Tinubu government said, you know, in January. President Bola Tinubu, Friday in Abuja, welcomed the intervention of the Finnish government with the arrest and detention of Simon Ekpa, saying the government will not tolerate actions and statements that could lead to divisiveness among citizens. President Tinubu spoke when he received the letter of credit from the Finnish ambassador to Nigeria, Ms. Sani Selim, at the State House. He commended the Finnish authority for the intervention that safeguard the nation's integrity and mitigate an action that threatens peaceful coexistence. Whatever you are reading, whatever you are listening right now from these, you need to reverse it back to that Yoruba people that wants Nigeria to break Tinubu will come after every one of us, and he was going to deal with us as well. So don't look at it as this issue of Biafra. Also look at it from the issue that Tinubu would also come after us. And this is why I pity a lot of many of you Yorubas that are still excited, happy that Simon Ekpa has been detained, Nnamdi Kanu should be locked up completely, the Biafra should shut up, while you are also campaigning for Yoruba Nation to exit. That does not make sense. We need to understand that we need to come together and fight these together so that we can have the same one voice in the international space so that we can quickly exit Nigeria together. But if one is against others, we are likely to go nowhere. President Tinubu also received letter of the credency from the ambassador of European Union. But one thing is, I must thank you for your record on safeguarding human rights in our country. With the trial of Simon Ekpa, Tinubu stated that Nigeria is indivisible. Yoruba people hold on to that statement. Nigeria is indivisible. So if you are one of those that wants Nigeria to break, Tinubu stated it in January through the press release that Nigeria is indivisible. So Nigeria cannot break. Tinubu went further to say, we have been through turbulent times and we don't want to promote terrorism. President Tinubu told the Finnish ambassador, let me make it clear again tonight. This is Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. There is nowhere apart from the contraction country. There is nowhere around the world today that IPOB is a terrorist organization. There is no way. America has not told us that IPOB is a terrorist organization. That is why they are operating in America. Even the United Kingdom, that hates the Biafra to the bone, has not yet declared IPOB as a terrorist organization. And likewise, the European countries and many African countries. It is only Nigeria that promotes the Fulani that are killing many Nigerians as bandits, yet declare people that wants to leave Nigeria as a terrorist organization. I don't know how that adds up, but maybe you can help me during your comment in the section there. Tinubu went further to say, I am a child born into activism, but not divisiveness. So Tinubu is reminding us that he has also been an active people that has been campaigning for injustice in Nigeria and all manners and all sorts. But what he does not tolerate is that he cannot afford anybody to dissolve or break Nigeria. We need cohesion and cooperation to bring about development. Our watchword is stability and cohesion to move the country forward. How Tinubu wants to move the country forward, we are already seeing it in his 2 years as one of the most terrible presidents that Nigeria has ever witnessed in the history of that country. The National Security Advisor, Malam Nuru Ribadu, the same Malam Nuru Ribadu that cannot defend, protect Nigerians against terrorist attack on a daily basis, kidnapping, ransom, that a Yoruba woman spoke to me from, I'm not going to mention the name of the state, but outside Nigeria. They live outside Nigeria, but the daughter was kidnapped. I will not give the figure that was paid so that I'm not giving too much information. I have been given access to the pictures of the daughter while she came back after the kidnap, what she looks like before she was kidnapped, and after what she looks like after she was kidnapped. You will cry for this beautiful woman. But like I said, I have been begged and pleaded not to allow the pictures to go on the social media because the terrorist confirmed to the husband that they will come back if care is not taken. So for that reason, they do not want me to put out too much information, and I will not even give you the state that this woman was kidnapped. But ransom was paid, heavy ransom was paid, and a lot of other things happened that I've been told to keep for myself. So I'm going to move away from Tinubu as well. So that shows that Bayo Onanuga have gone back. Tinubu is back in Nigeria after a visit to France and UK. But as of now, Bayo Onanuga has not told us that Simon Ekpa will be extradited back to Nigeria in July. These are facts I am working with. I am not working with just mere say. I have given you BBC. When you want to look at one of the most biased media in the world is BBC. But when it comes to authentication of a news, BBC has what it takes to authenticate it. But the same BBC cannot authenticate that Simon Ekpa will be returned back to Nigeria. They are going with the story that is already in the public domain. So that shows that, again, BBC cannot verify it. Federal government cannot verify it. That is two facts I am working with. Now, do we have any fact from Finland itself that Simon Ekpa, according to the Finnish newspaper that I have seen in an article, that Simon Ekpa would definitely be returning back to Nigeria? Even your information minister, the current information minister of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, appeared at France 24 during Tinubu's visit for relaxation, work visit, or I say medical treatment. This is what was posted according to France 24. Apparently, this was even issued on the 11th of April, but I have just seen it. Boko Haram and ISWAP are on their last legs, Nigeria Information Minister says. In an interview with France 24, Nigeria Minister of Information and National Orientation discussed the fears of a global trade war, the situation in the post-coup Niger, and the security situation in West Africa. Muhammadu Idris said that the terrorist groups Boko Haram, Islamic State West African Province, ISWAP, were on their last legs in Nigeria. That means they're going to get rid of them. As fear, so that is just all I can tell you. So whether you believe that, I will leave that for you to think about it. Now, let's go now deep into Finland. And you can also do the same thing by just checking and see if any Finnish newspaper posted anywhere. If you find it, please do not hesitate to share it with me. I would love to have it so that I can return back and come out and say, yes, evidence has now proven that Simon Ekpa will be returning back to Nigeria. But again, as of today, while I am making this broadcast, the gutter media has not proven to any one of us, apart from story, that Simon Ekpa is returning back to Nigeria. No evidence. Even the BBC cannot tell us that Simon Ekpa is returning. The federal government might still be cooking the story or have the fact, but as of today, the federal government has not told us the same thing. Now, can any newspaper in Finland at least tell us that Simon Ekpa will return back to Nigeria? There is a particular paper that runs from Finland, and that newspaper, many of you can also check them out. That newspaper, as of today, has not confirmed that Simon Ekpa is returning back to Nigeria. But the same newspaper was able to tell us when Simon Ekpa was arrested in all his previous arrests. So why this newspaper has not told us that Simon Ekpa was in court and we should be looking forward to returning Simon Ekpa back to Nigeria is what I am still trying to figure out. I'm going to go with their first article when Simon Ekpa was first arrested. Not even arrested as at the time. This was when election was coming. So the newspaper that I'm talking about is called Ekpa Times. And I'm going to spell it because I want you to write it down so that in case you want to go and check it out yourself, you can find out that exactly what I'm telling you is the fact, the truth, and nothing but the truth. If you send me any garbage after this discussion that Simon Ekpa will be extradited, it now also shows that you are one of those that run with fake news. But rather than go with Koikimedia news and what I'm doing right now, you have failed to do so and I cannot help you. I cannot be doing this to help you while you continue to run to clickbait of these fake platforms that continue to try to bring information that has not any iota of truth. Ekpa is a newspaper in Finland, and I can give you a background story of this particular newspaper because I've done a bit of search on them. It's a newspaper that was founded in 2007. The editor is Alessi Korus. Ekpa Times, which is spelled Helsinki, then Times. For those of us abroad, Hotel Echo Lima Sierra India November Kilo Indigo. Ekpa Times is the first English language daily online newspaper in Finland. How can this newspaper that has talked about Simon Ekpa more than 3 times cannot give us information about Simon Ekpa? That, for me, I'm finding it very difficult to understand this garbage newspaper in Nigeria projecting that Simon Ekpa will be returned back by July 15. Now that we know the newspaper that I'm talking about, let's go with one of the stories that we knew was an article, well read, published in Finland on 20th of February 2023. That was 2 years ago. So that you don't come and say, Koiki is a Igbo. You see, we told you, it will defend Igbo people. No, I am just your last man standing. And when it comes to international news, you want to be on this platform because I will tell you the truth. If Simon Ekpa is going to be returning back to Nigeria, I will tell you. But I want to tell you with the fact. I don't want to come and sit here and tell you, Simon Ekpa is returning back to Nigeria without a fact. I am not one of those garbage media. So let's go back to 20th of February 2023. Nigeria demands Finland to stop Lati Councillor armed revolt in the southeastern Nigeria. That is the headline. Nigeria has called on Finland to stop a Finnish politician from leading an armed revolt in southeastern Nigeria. Simon Ekpa, a local Lati city councillor. I mean, this is a story that any Finland newspaper would love to talk about. That one of your councillors that has been creating problem for Nigeria will be returning back to Nigeria. Rather, nobody, no news in Finland is talking about, is not, I mean, the news in Finland for Simon Ekpa is not reported in Finland, but it's being reported in Nigeria. It tells me that there is more to it. I don't have to read all the article. I've given you a bit of the write-up. I mean, Ekpa is the lead. So I've given you the headline. I've given you the date. We know about that. I'm going to close that. Now, let's go and look for another story that came out from this same Ekpa newspaper from Finland. to prove whether it is true that Simon Ekpa will be returning back to Nigeria in July as the garbage newspaper. And I'm sure some Yoruba people are already happy. Hey, they're going to bring Simon Ekpa back. Koiki, you better be careful. You can also be extradited. And maybe you think that even if Simon Ekpa is extradited back to Nigeria legally, not like rendition like Nnamdi Kanu, there's already 1,000 Simon Ekpa that are already operating. So it's not about an individual anymore. It's about the ideology that Britain, that is behind the crisis that every one of us is facing, that we should all fight and leave. Yoruba wants to fight Simon Ekpa because they think that Simon Ekpa sit at home is far better than a Yoruba mother called me from a country outside Nigeria and pleaded with me that they want me to talk about how their daughter was kidnapped and ransom was paid. So which one is better? Think about it. So let's move swiftly because of our time. The other story that I want you to read from the same Alensky is about Simon Ekpa again. But this time around, before I tell you the latest one in November, I picked up another one that I might want you to know when I was doing my research before coming out. Because you just don't come out and say what you cannot prove. Because coming out, I'm talking to learned people, I'm talking to people that knows what I say, they can verify it. But anybody cannot verify what the Gota media have said about Simon Ekpa. All you have done is see the headline, you've read the story, but you've not think about the source. What is the source to the story? Where is the evidence? None of them has the fact, and this is what I am doing to tell you that as of today, there is no fact to support such nonsense and jagbajantes Tory, as BBC also put it out there. So now, let's go to another article, like I said, that I read about Simon Ekpa. This particular one states what Finland is doing about Nigeria complaint against Simon Ekpa. So this Alensky Times is now referencing back, if you go on this particular headline, what Finland is doing about Nigeria's complaint against Simon Ekpa, Finnish minister. They have a link that says original story was published by IPE, which is, Premium Times. And that story can be found with a link. This is how journalists work. Journalists work based on evidence, not on mere say. Okay? So if you have read the story, what you should be asking is, where is the court paper? From where was that court paper issue that Simon Ekpa attended a court in Finland on the 8th of April and he will be returning back to Nigeria as quickly as possible? There is no evidence to support. So they say Finland responds to Nigeria complaint regarding Simon Ekpa, a Nigerian Finnish citizen, due to his involvement in the Biafra secessionist movement in Nigeria, was covered in an article by Premium Times. So this particular Alensky Times is a Finnish newspaper. Remember that. Is also saying that there is an article, if you like to read it, but this is where the article is. They are not saying that they have the evidence, but they are pointing you to where the evidence are. That is what all the Gota media have not been able to do. So if you have read anything about Simon Ekpa returning to Nigeria, throw that in the newspaper and delete that link as quickly as possible. Now, the last but not the least of Simon Ekpa, before I move to our own discussion on Yoruba Nation tonight. This is now from the same newspaper, Alensky Times. This was dated 5th of November 2024, and that is the only story that they have about Simon Ekpa till date. Where did the garbage brown envelope paper got their news about Simon Ekpa? You might want to ask them, because I know that they are running that story because there's an agenda that they do not want the Biafra to leave. The Yoruba that are campaigning, that are excited about this such story, you should not be happy. We are also moving out for a rally. The government is putting fear out there already ahead of that rally. And I'll be telling you, this is my own opinion and view about all this garbage. Because I've now had people calling me to say, Koiki, can you please tell Igboho to be careful now? You see, we told you, they are going to bring Simon Ekpa back. Tell Igboho to be careful. And that means that they are probably going to tell us now to say that, oh, we might as well not even tell Igboho to come and do anything. Just let Igboho. You see, this is the fear. And the thing about being afraid, they want us to be afraid already. They want to put us into the state of being scared even before we go out for the rally. The federal government is aware that the Yoruba people wants to come for the rally. If that rally comes out, the tendency that the Biafra can also, I don't know, because if Simon Ekpa was out, we would have had some kind of arrangement with them. But like I said, since Simon Ekpa has been detained and is nowhere to be found right now, when I say not to be found, I'm just saying that he's been detained. If Simon Ekpa was out, I would have been able to communicate what we want to do with him. But since that is not happening, we are going on our own, and it's entirely up to the Biafra to do whatever they want to do, as they will still continue to fight to get Nnamdi Kanu out as quickly as possible. Now, let's take back to this particular article from, again, this only newspaper that has focused on Simon Ekpa, because Simon Ekpa is a very important personnel in Finland. Many of us knows that. He's deep in the politics of Finland. He speaks Finnish as if he's speaking English. He's married to a Finnish woman. Simon Ekpa has a son. Simon Ekpa has also been part of the reserve, a reservist for the Finland military. So putting all this together does not still mean that the federal government cannot force the Finland to return him back for the atrocity that they said he has committed. We know that it's only Simon Ekpa that is committing atrocity. The Fulani are not committing an atrocity because we know that they are giving them, putting them back into the community, and Tinubu is also, accepting such nonsense. On the 25th of November, this paper, the online news media known as Helsinki Times, made it known to the world that Finland arrests Simon Ekpa as Nigeria seeks extradition. Why are they not doing a follow-up to the story? Is it that the Biafra people have done juju for the paper? Not to talk about Simon, but their juju not catch the garbage newspaper in Nigeria. It just shows that the social media is a powerful tool. And the Sultan of Sokoto just last week came out to tell us that social media is a terrorist platform. That is the power of how we have destroyed Nigeria. When I told you that we would destroy Nigeria from outside, that Nigeria will cry every day. They cry, they will not be able to find a solution to it. We will continue to bombard Nigeria back to back by all corners of the world, by the indigenous people, even those that still doesn't want Nigeria to break. They are bashing Nigeria on a daily basis. That is the same thing that you will now be asking, why this newspaper, where they Finland, that can authenticate Simon Ekpa at the court, has not told us the same. I'll leave you for that to wonder in your mind. Let me just read a little bit about the article. Finnish police have arrested Simon Ekpa, a Finnish Nigerian dual citizen and a leader of a banned secessionist movement, on suspicion of inciting violence in southeast Nigeria. The move has now prompted Nigeria to renew its call for Ekpa extradition, accusing him of terrorism and extremism. Why then this newspaper is not doing a follow-up? It shows that so far it is 2-1 for Biafra and 1 for Nigeria. And that is about it. So if you still send me a message, that means that you failed to follow Koikimedia to get its own 100% fact that no evidence that Simon Ekpa will return back on July 15. If there's any more development, I will come out and tell you. But for today, where I am recording this VN and I'm doing this live, the 23rd, the Muslim prayer call is coming, as you can hear it, so that you do not say this is an AI video, because people do a lot of things today. You can do AI and then put it out there. This is me speaking, telling Nigerians to throw that garbage news away today and focus back to the reality of the devilish country called Nigeria that will be destroyed because it has destroyed the indigenous people, and we want to revisit back how we were before Britain, the criminal, created Nigeria, and they are scared that it seems now that they are pushing us down and fighting each other has failed. Let the Yoruba that are fighting Igbo and the Igbo fighting Yoruba continue to fight themselves. But those of us that line together under the indigenous people that wants to live should not fight each other. I'm talking about the Biafra that believes that they want to go, and the Yoruba that wants to go. No Yoruba that is supporting Igbowo and Babakitoye should be excited with such a story. We should even be concerned, even if it's true. So that is about it. Now, the internet has been a little bit stable. I don't know how far it can go, but it's been a little bit stable. That's all I can say. We have struggled with it for a couple of days since I've been around, but so far tonight, it seems it is slightly stable. So what we want to do right now is to see if I can push a 3 hours program, which I have not done most of the time, but I will see if the internet is fluctuating. I will end the program in 2 hours, which means I only have 30 minutes to go. Thank you so much. Like I said, I purposely did this video in English, not because of anybody, because I am also speaking to international media like my colleagues that are monitoring what I do, that they should not believe all the garbage media that Simon Ekpa attended a court case on the 18th and he's going to be returning back to Nigeria. They monitor Nigeria because I have reported Nigeria to many of them during different sessions that we've attended. I don't have to give you all the details. But tonight, the question back is, who is the problem of Nigeria? Is this Simon Ekpa? Is it Fulani terrorist? Is it Igbowo? Who amongst these three is the real problem of Nigeria? I want you to help me in the comment section. Koikimedia bringing the work closer to your doorstep. This VN will be circulated. If you come across it, don't keep it for yourself. I want all the Biafra media, if possible, replay this particular video on your channel, that if all the Yoruba garbage media that Tinubu has paid off, you still have a loyal Yoruba media that is working to make sure that the fact will still be out there to the international community. I am not a local media. I am an international media, and it is entirely up to you to also take advantage of this particular broadcast and make use of it back on your channel. Be rest assured you will not be penalized from me for making use of it. And I hope it will make a better impact. I know that many Yorubas are against you in terms of Simon Ekpa, but like I said, Dr. Chief authoritatively as Igboho spokesman. I am the only one authorized to speak like this. Igboho still remain loyal to the Biafra cause. If anybody whisper to Biafra or the Yorubas that Igboho is against the Biafra, tell them that that is a complete bogus lie. Igboho is still very loyal to Simon Ekpa, very loyal to Nnamdi Kanu, and very loyal for the cause of the self-determination of the Biafra. That I can tell you as the spokesman of Sunday Igboho. My name is Koiki, which is also known as Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorsteps. Now, let me stick to just half an hour because I don't want this program to go more than that. So we keep it to 2 hours. And maybe when I come back out, we will do one in Yoruba, which will now focus more on our Yoruba audience, because I know that tonight has focused more on the wider audience because of the nature of the story. Because if Simon Ekpa is fighting for his people to be free from Nigeria bondage, and we have media that are also projecting him as a terrorist, it is my job to come out and also make sure that we put our own out there, that that is a bogus story. That, I'm sure, has now been done properly. So before we start winding down the broadcast from my end, all I'm asking again is, who is terrorizing Nigeria? Many Nigerians believe that Simon Ekpa has been terrorizing them, but at least Simon Ekpa is not in the picture since November. So let's look at it. November, December, January, February, March, April. 4 months Simon Ekpa has been held in Finland. He hasn't done a broadcast. He hasn't done anything more than the fact that nobody hears from him anymore. But the crime against Nigeria continue to happen on a daily basis, that you will cry for what is happening in Nigeria against innocent Nigerians, that the federal government of the Nigeria has not been able to defend Nigeria against this crime. The terrorists have now entered every part of Nigeria. It's no longer that they are entering. So if anybody is still telling you that they are still going to enter, they have already entered every part of Nigeria, including Yoruba land. Igbo land is not also left behind. The Middle Belt is not left behind. The Hausas in the north are not left behind. It now shows that the real agenda is already coming in place. It might be slow, it might be fast, but if we are not careful and we do nothing and sit back and continue to pretend as if nothing is happening, we might wake up one night in our sleep and we could find ourselves in a very massive problem. We have told you continuously that Nigeria created for a reason. We don't want to go back to the history. What we should all be asking is, what is the solution? I've seen defection by the PDP from Delta State to APC. I don't know how far, and I cannot authenticate it, that Tinubu met with Fubara in London, and there's likely that Fubara must submit to become an APC state. That means he's going to defect from PDP to APC. So the Yorubas is who I'm talking to right now before I end my broadcast. We have told you that believe Tinubu at your own prerogative. Tinubu will not give you a Yoruba nation. Tinubu's agenda is to stick to one Nigeria as much as he can, because he believes that one Nigeria is still in the interest of every one of us. But we have told you all the time that we cannot wait for 2027 for Tinubu to take us again into another lies of this Nigeria, what do? All we need to do now is to raise more of our voice in our villages and our communities and our friends in the diaspora, our children, our religious center, that the Yoruba want one thing, and one thing alone: we want to exit Nigeria. We do not want trouble, we don't want problems, but I want to see that if trouble is going to kickstart, Tinubu will be held accountable for all those trouble. We owe Tinubu for the problem because Tinubu is aware that the Yoruba people wants to exit Nigeria. It's not new. Tinubu and wanted to find out what was in the content of that letter, even though the British High Commissioner tried to brush it aside by giving Tinubu's government, that is just a normal petition that people do, they do right, but they still don't know what we wrote in that letter. Nobody knows. The only people that knows is Baba Kitoye. And that shows that Tinubu is very worried and concerned about the Yoruba people, of their push for the right to self-determination. But that is still not yet guarantee alone. What is going to guarantee is when me and you that believe in Yoruba nation cause do everything within our power to state to Tinubu that we want to exit Nigeria. It's not going to be as easy as you want to have it, but nothing comes free because freedom is not free itself. And because I'm struggling with the internet, like I said, I'm going to start winding down officially. The message has been delivered, and all I can tell us is that Nigeria is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. The longer we keep together, the longer we are likely to have issues. The unity of Nigeria has failed, and there's not much that can unite it in an election in 2027. The Igbos will not gain the upper hand to become the president, even if, from information, that Peter Obi might be the vice, Atiku might be the president, I don't know. Seyi Makinde wants to be the president as well. We shouldn't wait for all these. And for the Biafra, especially the Igbos that abandoned Nnamdi Kanu and ran with Peter Obi, thinking that they can defeat a Yoruba man. That Yoruba man is another Yoruba criminal. And when I say Yoruba criminal, he's a very good one. He's good at it. He's a criminal known within the drug, within rigging, and bringing someone that killed Yoruba people, which is Buhari. So Peter Obi even being proposed to be the president under any party will not defeat Tinubu in 2027. Tinubu will rig himself and still remain the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. So if you are an Igbo, and I'm sure, like I said in one of my broadcasts, I've had some of you saying we should shut up and all that. We will be coming out soon. How soon, we don't know. We're waiting for our leaders to tell us. And you live in Lagos, Ogun State, and other Yoruba land, and you will be the Indra to our rally. There will be problem between us and you. I will say the same thing to Simon Ekpa. I will also say the same thing to Nnamdi Kanu. You should not be the Indra to our quest to leave Nigeria because you are trading in those states, or you just don't want Nigeria to break. I don't know whether some of you in those states are Biafra or not. I know some of you want the agenda of an Igbo president that you will not gain. All I will advise you is focus on your Biafra. Support your Biafra government. Invest in them and work towards this agenda that will eventually give you a good country where we can also have a good country and you can still be living in that country together with us. But do not be an obstruction when order has come from our leader. We don't take order from Tinubu. We will not take order from our governors when we are told to come out. It could be rough, it could be crisis, it could lead to anarchy, but be rest assured that nobody from Yoruba land will attack you because we are out for rally. But do not be 1 or 2 or 3 people from the Igbo side in the southeast to stop our agenda to become a full country through our quest. It will be a disaster for you. That is all I can say tonight, and I hope my message is clear. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI, popularly known as Koikimedia, bringing the world closer to your doorstep. And I pray that we can meet again very soon when I'm out. But for now, all I can say is that the Igbo will leave Nigeria, the Yoruba will leave Nigeria, everybody will go their separate ways because Nigeria is no longer viable to work, to save and protect us from the damage that Britain created. Britain doesn't want Nigeria to break. We need to do everything to make it to break as quickly as possible, and that starts from 2025. Have a very good evening. God bless Biafra. God bless the Hausa people. God bless the Jaw people. And God bless the Yoruba people. My name is OLAYOMI KOIKI. Have a good evening. Bye for now.